Hi guys.
You peel a minute to get on board. Make sure it's going out in FB.
Yeah,
Aye, we're live on Facebook and all.
Aye.
So there we have it.
Well, if I can just kill the volume on that. There you go. Right, fine, that's good. Now, if I can just kill the volume on that. There you go. Right, fine, that's good.
Oi, we're getting feedback, David.
If I can just kill the volume on that. There you go. Right, fine. There you go. Right, fine.
Right, I shut that off. Feedback. Anyway, good afternoon, folks. Welcome, Robert T. Bruce, Jim Stevenson. We've got Lorna McDonald, Tommy Allison, Alan Foster, John McNee, Lorraine King, Polly Holland, Avril Lamb. Hey, good afternoon, folks. Welcome aboard the Two Davies chat show. So, things are starting to pick up now. Starting to get an audience. We've got 4 or 5 subjects to chat about today. And we're going to start with the British Social Attitude Study, which was released yesterday, I believe. And shows support for Scottish independence is now at 52% of the population. The groundwork for this attitude study was done last September, October, I believe. So, what do you make it?
Hang on a second. Well, there's one thing I'm going to do. Lewis Campbell, Sarah Alba, cheers for what you do, guys. Converted no to yes here. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Sarah, it's the fan on my computer that's making the burring sound.
Yep. So well done, Lewis. Yeah. What will happen now is as you've gone from no to yes, there'll be an awful lot that you need to learn. You don't need to spend every day studying like David and I do. Just keep a hold of what comes up now, and you'll find that you build up your knowledge, and then you'll be able to pass it on to others. That's the important part.
Well done, Lewis. Welcome aboard. So the social attitude study.
Yeah.
Now, the Scottish Social Attitude Study, which will be released probably tomorrow, we'll see what it's going to say. But since 1999, through the Scottish Social Attitude Study, it shows that support for independence has steadily risen throughout the years. Now we're past the 50% mark, obviously. Also, in the Social Attitude Study, up until recently, support for devolution as the form of governance in Scotland was over 50%. Yeah. At this point in time, support for devolution as the form of government in Scotland is now at 38%.
Yeah.
What do you make of that change?
Dead simple. I think the majority of people now realise that devolution isn't working for us. Because at the end of the day, power devolved is power retained.
That's correct.
Yep. And therefore, we need to then go on to the next stage, which is full independence, taken back full political and economic powers so that we can run our own country. And I think a lot of people are starting to twig that. The Scottish government have been great in terms of, like bridge tolls, you name it, all the different things that you could name. But we need to be looking at full independence so that we can progress as a country. Simple as that. The Gents Fuller is getting more like Westminster. Well, okay, you could argue that. Oh, for goodness sake, David, will you do me a favour and get rid of him? Because all he does is become a diversion for the other people on the feed. Please, all right.
No, just leave him there. He says I'm blaming the Queen for all the woes of the world, apparently, but never mind.
Yeah.
He's entitled to his opinion.
Yeah.
All right. And we'll leave it up there, and if people want to give him whatever pelters he gets, then fine, we'll just ignore him. Anyway, the Social Attitude survey was also very interesting for Northern Ireland, was it no?
Yeah.
With 51% people in Northern Ireland now see the Union as a useless construct as well.
Now, Anne Openlick and Nancy were on this morning doing their wee broadcast, and it was Nancy that mentioned she'd been listening to LBC, James O'Brien, and
I listened to it myself.
He was putting out the thing about that there's more Catholics now in Northern Ireland, and that he was making the connection with that to the sort of reunification of Northern Ireland to Ayr, right? And I don't think he's right on that. I think in actual fact, there's a lot of people, Catholics and Protestants, that want reunification of Ireland because really they can see that they're doing well. It's Northern Ireland are doing well economically, and it's due to the fact that they're both part of the UK and also they're part of the bigger, which is Europe. So I'm not sure if James O'Brien's got that one right, but anyway, well, I'm prepared to be proved wrong on that.
Well, what James was saying is, this is it. The end game's now arrived. The breakup of the United Kingdom, right? And he addressed John for 2 seconds. I don't blame the person who wears the crown. I blame the institution of monarchy, John. And because you're not very politically aware, we'll just remind you, it's the Crown's sovereignty in Parliament that's got power over the serfs down that road.
Yeah.
Okay, right, moving on. Let's move on to Putin. What do you make of that nut job?
Well, I'm fairly old-fashioned in my thoughts about that, right? Last night, basically, he said, right, take me seriously. I'm going to hit you lot, right? And and when you figure back to my fighting days, school and all the rest of it, right? If somebody's going to come and hit you, they're going to hit you. They're not going to tell you or warn you, if you don't shut up, I'm going to hit you, right? It doesn't work that way, right? If Putin was going to do something to other countries, right, he would do it without telling you, right? So really, Putin, I've got no other.
Would you make him enlisting 300,000 more people to throw at the
I watched Sky for a bit yesterday. Thank goodness they've got normal programming on. But Sky News, and what they were reporting was that the airline tickets that were available in Russia had now run out. All these people saying, "No, get me away for this." To be honest with you, I don't think Putin now has the backing of his own people in this. I feel that any backing he had is now dropping off because A, what he's done to his own people, right? And B, the actual people that are ending up in the battlefield are coming back in body bags. And
that was the other bit I was going to bring up about conscripts. The thing about conscripting people by giving them 8 weeks training and a gun and sending them across the border is their heart's no in it. But more importantly, they're no trained professional soldiers. So trained professional soldiers pick them off quite easy.
Yeah, as that Major General that comes on Sky, as he was saying, he says if you look at the two sides, the Ukrainian army are, they're fighting for their people, they're fighting for their country, they're fighting for their territory, right? Fighting for the mates, obviously, as any soldier like David will tell you, right? Okay, but the Russian army, they're doing it for a paycheck. Their country isn't getting attacked. They're basically doing it for a paycheck, and as such, they're not motivated.
Yeah, but conscripts are forced to take that paycheck. They don't want to be there.
I know that.
And that's the reason why so many of Putin's troops are going back in body bags.
Yes.
because they're not trained professional soldiers. Conscription has never been a good idea.
Of course not.
You know, obviously when it comes to major wars, you need more manpower, you need conscript. But generally, in conflicts in the past, people would be signing up anyway because they believed in the just cause.
Yeah.
When you're having to conscript people like that, then you know you're really on the edge of it. You really are.
Well, one hopes that the people in the Duma are maybe a bit more sensible in this than Putin is at the moment, right? Also, you've got the other side of it, the geopolitical side, right? Okay, they've got all the sanctions taking place, right?
I'm going to put this one up just to give everybody a laugh, but this one's for you today, Davey. Here you go. Go on, read it.
You up in Russia. The leader must tell him we have a nuclear weapon. Oh dear, goodness me! Right? Okay, fine. Yeah, just.
Hey, it's for comedy value. Come on.
Yeah. The other side of it, as I was saying, was that China have now listened to Putin's speech, and they're going, wait a minute, right? And China are not like it. And Putin, I believe, is looking to China as being a partner in all of this, right? If Russia was attacked, I don't think it would happen. I don't think it would ever happen, right? If Russia was attacked, then he'd expect China to pile in and give them support, right? I don't think China are behind Putin at all now after that speech. And the same goes with another of the ones that didn't come out hard against them was India. Now, you know, so that's two massive countries that we've heard a concern over what Putin said, right? So really, Putin's between a rock and a hard place, and I think the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to see proper diplomacy starting to take place. I don't think Putin can keep this up for very much longer.
No, I think you're right there. It's been a weird week for the Ukraine. Tuesday, he's talking about Putin's talking about referendums in held territories.
Yeah.
And Wednesday, he's talking about blowing us out of smithereens. I think he's flipped his lid.
Right, maybe he hasn't flipped his lid, but he's backed into a corner, let's say. And when somebody like that's backed into a corner, he's got the nuclear weapons that he threatened, right? But he's not going to use them because it's like a gun that fires backwards. You know, you pull that trigger, it blows back in your face. Yeah.
And so, Stephen McNeil, there's so much propaganda on the news, I find it hard to take any of it at face value. Don't take any at face value, anybody.
That's right. Yeah.
Go looking for your own sources and make your own mind up.
Yeah.
So, hey, look, a wee stooshy going on between a couple of reviewers there, whether Northern Ireland and whether Southern Ireland and Northern Ireland will reunify or not. Well, you know, it's a fair question because Northern Ireland have got three options in front as far as I can see.
That's right.
They can become a brand new state.
Yeah.
They can be reunified with the rest of Ireland, or they can become devolved from Dublin as opposed to devolved from Westminster. Well, four options. They can stick to the status quo.
To be honest with you, I don't honestly think that that's an option now. I don't think the status quo is there anymore for Northern Ireland. I think there's just too many people looking at the mess that the UK government are making of this. And if they do get rid of that protocol, if it does go, the amount of pain that that's going to cause people in Northern Ireland is going to be immense. You know, business, I'm talking about the economic side, right? And I really don't think that is left on the table anymore. Status quo just doesn't cut it. I think they've got to be looking at one of those three options that you mentioned,
what's interesting about it is Northern Ireland finds itself in the same position as Scotland, and that is that its democracy is being denied.
Yeah.
You know, when you get right down to it, 53 of the 90 MLAs are in favour of the NI protocol.
Yeah.
The majority of MLAs were voted in because they were in favour of protocols.
Yeah.
And when you get right down to it, what Truss is doing is denying democracy in Northern Ireland the same way that she's denying, or the Tories are denying democracy in Scotland because they're frightened of it. You know?
And yet again, just like Scotland, they've got their cuckoos in the nest, haven't they?
I know half. Let's move on to the Institute for Fiscal Studies report into Trussonomics, shall we?
Oh, yes.
So, I'd like to take the floor, dear boy.
Well, the Institute of Fiscal Studies. I was looking at that this morning, and there is a report from the IFS regarding basically what Liz Truss is doing with regard to the tax cuts that she's going to bring in, right? I did notice there was an article in the Times yesterday that said that the tax cut to the bottom 10% of the population would be worth 65 pence a week. And or a month, sorry, it's a month, 65 pence a month, right? So therefore, for the IFS to bring this out, it really is rather interesting. IFS in Scotland, they're not our friends, really, right? When you look at it, because they've come out with a lot of things that have been anti-Scotland, right? So, but for them to actually say that, and I believe that people that are in the upper levels will end up with an extra like 1,500 quid in their pocket, right? So
it's a wee bit better than that, actually.
Again, it's just another situation where somebody like Truss in the Tory party makes a decision to go a particular road. The people that are hit the hardest are those at the bottom of the bottom rungs of the ladder. The people that gain by it are always the ones at the top rungs of the ladder.
No, we'll take it. Obviously, the IFS have based this on the PAYE system, right? And what they're saying is employees in the highest bands will get 150 quid a month out of her tax cuts, while the employees in the lowest will get 65 pence a month. So less than, what are we talking about? We're talking about 12 quid a year for the poor and 1,800 quid a year for the rich.
Aye. Yeah.
I think there's something wrong with Trussonomics. I think they're backwards.
Yeah. But again, back to what we were saying last week, was that it's now a plan that we can see that's been carried out, and effectively we're getting to the back end of that plan. And what's happening is that they are feeding money into, and it's not just this, lots of other factors come into it, but they're feeding money into the fat cats so that they can run away with the pockets full, and we're going to be left with a mess.
Yep. It looks as if they're deliberately trying to lose the next election, actually, so they can get up and leave a wee note for Labour saying there's no money left. We've stolen it all.
No, this time the note will say the money's all abroad.
If you're looking for money, check the Cayman Isles.
Was it 6? I watched a program on that where they were talking about the amount of money that's in tax havens, and they reckon that the pot is now hitting 6 trillion.
Aye.
6 trillion. I can't remember but we're talking about UK, so I imagine it was pounds. Doesn't matter these days, does it?
No. Anybody that's stealing money out of the UK, the news converting it into the yen or into the dollar.
Yeah. Now I'll just unplug this bell.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. There you go. There it goes. Right.
So, aye. Let's move on to Truss and Biden, shall we?
what the marriage made in heaven.
Aye.
I really don't think Truss has got any time. Biden's got any time for Truss. I think he does the nice thing, which is, hi, hello, how you doing, and all the rest of it, right? And I really don't think he's going to get into very, very much with Truss, apart from saying to her, that Northern Ireland protocol, touch it, and we'll hit you back.
Well, as I say, he basically took her into his office and gave her a tick and a half. You know, you will negotiate with the EU, and if you mess with the GFA, you're in the poo.
Yeah.
But what also came to light is that these sunny up ones that Brexit was supposed to offer, ditching a market of 450 million customers to join a market of 330 million customers 3,000 miles away rather than 22 miles away, absolute madness. But now it would appear that oven ready deal with the Americans is no there either.
No, it's not, and it's not going to be. You've got to look at all the different bits of the American parliamentary system, right? And you're not going to win over the Senate, and it's just not going to happen. Congress might be a different matter because they're trying to be against Biden. But the Senate, I don't think you're going to get the Senate to go that way and go, we'll still deal with Britain and all the rest of it, because it's the Good Friday Agreement took too long to put together for it just to be batted aside. Certainly in Biden's eyes.
Shuggy's telling me that the Facebook comments are not being pulled through. I know that, Hugh. I'll talk to you after the show, and you can tell me how to sort that out.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Biden basically took her in to tell her off.
Yeah.
And the chances of a trade deal with America are now slim to fucking all.
Yeah.
So, we now find, because of the voters in England, we now find ourselves in a situation where we're vulnerable to the vultures for the rest of the planet.
Yeah, well, I was just reading about there's been several moves, and I know that you liked it when you came up on my page. It was one that had been shared by Stephen Kelly, I think it was, where several big deals had been done over the past couple of days, right?
I mean, the asset stripping's on. You can buy UK assets cheap as hell now. Yeah. Pounds they value. You've no markets to sell into. These businesses are going to go bust anyway. So you buy them up, you strip the assets out when you need, put the people on the dole, and you've got a bit of property for when things get better. Big investors can afford to do that.
I am surprised that it's starting to happen so quick. I actually thought they would hold off until the UK was in a depression before they did that. And so a depression means that all the share prices come way down. They can buy them for cherry bobs. And if there's decent firms there, they can buy into those decent firms. And once it's all over and done with, they can build them back up again. That's your investor's thought. Buy cheap, and do it up and then sell it. So.
Aye.
I thought that was interesting what Robert was saying. Robert Bruce was saying, general election is coming very soon. I don't know, but I'm not sure. David and I maybe have different thoughts on this, but I feel that Truss is gonna hang on to our moment in the sun for as long as she can.
I tend to agree with you there, David.
Yeah,
Gordon McKenzie on Facebook is asking, was the increase in VAT from 15% to 20% as part of austerity not meant to be temporary? Putting VAT back to 15% would benefit all. That's a good comment.
Yeah, yes, I agreed. As we're now out of Europe, let's put this straight, right? The UK doesn't have to have VAT whatsoever, right?
Yep.
They could zero rate everything, and that's it. So the VAT would be out, right? And it would be like a shot in the arm to some people. I can well imagine. I mean, I myself, I have to do a VAT return every quarter, and because I put myself on a flat rate, everything that I buy, I cannot claim back for. I have to pay the flat rate, and it does cost me a little bit, but it's easier to sort out the flat rate. Previously, when I was doing VAT the proper way, where I had every receipt and every invoice and all the rest of it, my goodness me, it used to take me a day, an entire day wasted just doing paperwork for the government. Anyway,
last Braveheart Knockery Step, 1984. Your comment up. We spoke about the British Attitude Survey at the beginning of the show, so you're late enough, Naughty Step. I haven't used the Naughty Step forever. I'm waiting to see Anne. She's got a sign to go above the software that says Naughty Step on it. And every time somebody's saying they're late, I'm just going to point to the sign. The umpteen polls recently showing Labour and Tory voting intentions for general election, but only one on independence. Very true, Stephen. But actually, the social attitude studies got nothing to do with it. It's not really a poll when you get right down here. Or I suppose it is a poll.
It's a poll, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a poll of polls, that's right. But it's as David says, when it comes to polling, he who pays a piper plays his tune. Yeah. What's interesting about British social attitude survey is that each question is sponsored by a different organisation.
Actually, if you look at it this way, right? Let's say the people that are watching here, let's say you had the power to run polls, right? And let's say that you were all unionist, right? So what you do is you go into a polling organisation and you go, right, we are XYZ, we're a unionist organisation, and what we'd like is for you to run a poll to find out if people want independence in Scotland, right? Now, to be honest with you, they're given a series of options from these polling companies. Do you want ABC ones? Who do you want to actually take part in the poll? By choosing off the group that you're going to poll gives you the outcome that you're looking for, right? So understand this, the polls are not there to gauge the feelings of you guys. They're there to gerrymander the feelings of you guys, right? Yes. I'm not saying all of you particularly, I'm talking about the general public here, right? If you can tell the general public that nobody wants independence, then effectively, yet again, it's another big lie that keeps coming out, right? In actual fact, if I was to make a guess as to where we really are, I would say that the Scottish population, it might be 60% plus for independence. The only poll that counts is the one that we're going to have within the next year or so.
Aye. Anyway, let's move on. Today, the Bank of England put interest rates up by 0.5%, dragging more money out of the economy, dragging more money out of consumers' pockets, and put more money onto the bank's balance sheets, free money for bankers again. Now, we keep speaking about this, but it really baffles me. I just don't get it. Unless, of course, we know they're deliberately crashing the economy, but it doesn't make any sense. If you want, they keep talking about growing the economy. There's only one way to grow the economy, and that's to make sure we Mrs. McGumpers get money to spend in the shops.
Yeah, absolutely.
So none of this makes any sense.
Yeah. There is another side of this. My stepson, he's a banker, right? And he deals with Coates and all of his part of the work in that West Bank. And he sometimes sends through information, in different mortgages and things like that. And a £60,000 mortgage back at the turn of the year 21 to 22 was round about 600 quid a month, right? That's working on somebody on just a 10-year mortgage, right? Which you would do for that sort of level, right? Day before yesterday, we saw the cheapest that you could possibly get was £842 a month for £60,000, and that is fixing in for 2 years. You can't get any more than two. There's no more mortgages more than a 2-year fix-in rate, and that's personal information.
Raising interest rates in an attempt to hold down inflation. No, James, you're absolutely right. But normally, inflationary pressures come from other sources. It's normally when there's too much demand in the economy because consumers have too much disposable income. But at this point in time, it's been driven by greed. So I really don't see how raising the interest rates is going to actually rein in inflation here. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, obviously, they're now predicting that because of the intervention into the energy market, which is going to cost us, the people, between 100 and 150 billion quid, has dampened down the forecast for inflation. So it's going to peak at 11% apparently instead of 16 or 17%.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. As I say, at this point in time, I'm not quite sure if the raising interest rates in this particular inflationary cycle is going to help.
Well, it's external pressures, isn't it? It's not internal.
No, it's not internal.
So therefore, you've got to take into account Brexit. That's a big one. You've got to take in the profiteering of the energy giants, and that obviously is a big inflationary pressure. That's not internal. That's external. That's coming from abroad, right? So there is nothing that the Bank of England can do that will affect that, because they can't affect the buying of the energy giants, of fat cats, in the same way as they can do wee Mrs. McGlunfer. I've got to see if it's got it. I don't want to reveal it as it might be very high. It's not a nice look on Eunice. Well, we know about this. This was the one that Gov was taking to court, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Tommy Shepherd.
Yeah.
Took him to a level 1 or a level, whatever they call it, tribunal, and they were told to release the polls. They then went to court. They were told to release the polls. And you've got to remember, folks, these polls are not just on Scottish independence. These polls are on attitude to the Union. And as I say, we've spoken about this before. I don't think it's the Scottish independence figures they're actually trying to hide. I think it's more the attitudes in England to the Union that they're trying to hide.
Yeah.
We've just seen the British Social Attitude Study. The only thing I haven't seen in it is England's attitude to the Union. I had a look this morning. Couldn't see it.
No.
Headlines, Northern Ireland wants out, Scotland wants out, nothing on England or Wales.
Yeah. And they will try, obviously, to suppress that as much as they possibly can, because the moment it becomes common knowledge that other people, that your next door neighbour or whatever, wants the Union to end, my goodness me, that's it. It's benito finito, as they say.
Well, I've only ever seen one poll on English independence, and it was at 49% for.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen the one poll on attitudes to English independence, and they won't ask the English people the question.
What was the percentage? What was the percentage, David, that was leaked for Scotland? What did that come out at?
John Adams had it at 72%. for independence.
You have to take. I know it was leaked, but you have to take it seriously because it is a UK government poll. They, like we said, the man that pays the piper calls the tune, right? So if we work on that, and we so 72% has to be the base, as it were. Could be higher.
Well, you could be right there. Here we go. The big driver for UK inflation is the massive increase in M1 money supply of furlough payments. That's the big difference. COVID-related supply chain impacts and Brexit has a role too. I would say Brexit has a big role in it, actually. But that was a good comment.
Seriously, a good comment. When I'm looking at currency that's held in the country, is the M3 figure that I tend to go quizzing, because that's the money. It's not money that's in savings accounts. It's in money that's in current accounts and in people's pockets. The M3, and that's an important one. So I do suggest, I didn't get the name of the person that put it up, but do look at the M3 figure. That gives you over a period of time, it lets you know what's happening, where the banks are starting to withdraw money from the community, the people.
See, this is cyclical. The banks like to take back as much as they can every now and again. At this point in time, with the break up in the UK looking imminent, looks as if they're just stealing everything they can out of the public purse as they head for the hills.
They do.
But there's a lot of quantitative easing that's just causing problems, of course. Right across the board.
Saying 80% of the respondents in the recent survey were from England. They're commenting on Scotland's independence. Unfortunately, they don't get to vote. Well, they don't, do they?
Jim Bob down here said most English people he talks to don't want us to talk to. They don't want us to leave the UK. That is virtually every English person you've spoke to. To be honest with you, Jim Bob, I haven't been really bothered for a wee while, but I used to get up and do the daily, and to be honest with you, the people I spoke to couldn't give a shite.
Yeah, well, I do. There are certain people that I will talk to freely about it down in England, right? And, the story I'm getting from a lot of my mates down in England are, get ahead, get it done.
I mean, it's going to be done. James O'Brien summed it up this morning. This is beginning the end of the UK.
Yeah. We're in a... We are starting to become... We're starting to become in a difficult place, and it's not going to get any easier. If anybody thinks that maybe Labour's going to get in and improve things, they're not. They're simply not. Yeah.
One is a liquid cash. I know there's a amount of liquidities out there, and with the quantitative easing that's been growing, James is saying that it's a major driver for inflation, because he can't remember a bigger injection of liquidity into the system ever.
Yeah.
Make a fair point.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Where are we? The Bank of England drawing more money out of the bloody system in order to try to drive down inflation. But let's have a look at they're going to introduce something called the EU Reform Bill. The EU Law Reform Bill, and they're going to have a bonfire of EU legislation, which is in statute here, and wee Molly.
Yeah, if you don't mind me saying, David, to anybody that's maybe got the idea that the EU implemented legislation into the UK, no, technically that's wrong, because what happened was the EU brings forward legislation for its other members. It's up to the members to implement that in their own countries, right? So, for example, the Human Rights Act, 1998, that wasn't implemented by the EU. It was implemented by Westminster, and it was adopted by the Scottish government. Right?
The 1998 Scotland Act.
That's right. Yeah.
So
this particular law that they're doing, it's in actual fact, it's going to be done by statutory instrument. They might present it in front of the House of Commons.
Well, all go in front of the House. It's what they do after they're finished with it.
Yeah.
And what was brought up at Davies workers' rights.
Yes. Yeah. Now that's an interesting one.
Starting on a 48-hour week and looking at paid holidays.
Yeah.
This is the slippery slope starting kids.
Yeah.
And Moggy was interviewed on it today on the telly.
Yeah.
And he was saying, well, there'll be a lot of things we want to look at. Basically saying, we're looking at your workers' rights.
Yeah.
So the working time directive out the one day.
Yeah.
So your 48-hour working week out the one day. Slave labour, work as long as you have to. That also will bring down wages again, David.
Yeah, the situation. Like one of my mates worked for a company called Avalon, and they were part of the Tyco group, and they had to sign a document to say that it was all right for them to work longer than, I think it was 37 hours a week.
Oh, 48 hours, and you could one of the things that the UK system did was they implemented what they call an opt-out, which could allow you to work up to 60 hours a week because all the drivers had to do it.
Right.
I mean, let's face it, you couldn't guarantee you would only be out on the road for 48 hours, depending how the traffic and that go. You know yourself, David, I've been stuck away by your night sometimes.
This was targeted basically at office workers, right?
Aye.
Tyco, might have lots of engineers, but in actual fact, the biggest majority are office workers, and it was 37 hours. You basically signed to say that you didn't mind going over the 37 hours. You get paid for them, but that's it. And to a lot of people, they suddenly, through signing that, they found that their work-life balance was all out of skew because they were working on stupid hours. Anyway.
Aye, but as I say, it's a major concern, and we need to make people aware of it. Because
is this not the Tories yet again going to war with the unions?
Well, I was going to say, if you're not in a trade union, you work in a big organisation, join one.
Aye.
But Singer get kicked out of the Labour, out of the union, I think, because of my attitudes. Because Sarah had been paying her dues, come out the bank, we never noticed it. She had a problem, wanted to get the union involved, and the union said, you're not a member anymore. And Sarah said, what? She didn't know. She'd been booted out the union and didn't know anything about it. I can only take it down to our beliefs in Scottish independence, to be honest with you. But now that most of the trade unions are on side, Sarah, rejoin a trade union.
Yeah.
But if they scrap the 48-hour working week, what are they going to limit it at? 60, 80?
I don't think they'll do it that way, David. They'll do it in little increments. It'll be done. It's like you put a frog into cold water and then slowly bring that water up to boiling point. You kill the frog, but it'll stay there. You know what I mean?
So, they're only looking at the 48-hour working week and holiday and how holidays are calculated and paid at this point in time. But they'll come for your maternity pay.
The Tories are good at that. They're good at doing
maternity pay.
Like the American phrase, they'll nickel and dime you to death. They take little chunks, little tiny chunks, all the time.
Ali's got an interesting comment. He's a chef and he worked in Scotland and Aberdeen and Aberdeen. There are industries out there that still operate out with the working time regulation. Ali, there is. But mostly is worked within the working time regulation. What's interesting about working time regulation It was probably a modelled on the 1972 Factories Act. You know?
Well, see, you got to remember, someone like me, I'm self-employed. So I've not really got, if I've got to work 24/7 for a few days, it happens. It has to happen because, well, at the end of the day, I'm wanting paid. I want to present an invoice and get paid for it,
You're on a deadline.
Yeah.
No time yet. Give me up. Come on up, let people see you. That's enough to get a deal. Come on up, let the people see you. Yeah. It's no time. Here we go. Jim Bob's days, he's addressing Stephen. Then again, their homes will be cold as it is outside because of Westminster. I must have missed the start of that one.
Yeah.
I say, so they're coming for your workers' rights.
Yeah.
One, you just need to keep an eye on what's going on with the EU reform bill. Once it's passed, they'll use secondary, they call it again, statutory instruments to simplify an awful lot of regulation, and it will impact on our rights. It will.
Yeah, again, guys, we're in a situation where all we can really do is watch what's going on. Until
right, we're going to throw this one on you, David, because we hadn't put it down, but fracking. What do you make of that? Fracking carry on. They've decided they're going to lift the moratorium on fracking down that road.
Well, the leader of the quadrilla, he said that geologically it's not possible in the UK. You have to remember a lot of England sits on limestone. A large amount of Scotland sits on granite and all the rest of it, right? And geologically, it's not a good place to frack. And as they found with was it Lancashire? They had earthquakes happen, right? So possibly he's harking back to that. And at the time there was a lot of trying to push it away on. No, that's nothing. Don't worry about it, right? But I think eventually the word got through to the people that lived in the area. Because of the fracking, you've got earthquakes.
The other thing, the other thing, the fracking thing was, and I heard Ed Miliband bring this up in the Parliament, and that was that it wouldn't make any difference to energy security in the UK because gas is sold in the international market.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing that a lot of people miss. Scotland produces 56% of all the gas extracted in the UK waters. Right? The UK government run those licenses. They could easily say to the companies that are doing that, right, you don't have a license anymore. Stop what you're doing. Come to the table till we have a talk about it, right? And while you got them in there talking about it, you're talking about price and also availability, which is you make sure that the UK's bucket is filled first at an agreed price. And that's it. It would be exactly the same with fracking. What would happen is they're given a license to frack a particular area, and the gas would be uplifted and sent abroad.
This one here for me. This is a cracker. I need to put this one up, and it's Ted Boyle. Where the people that come from? Anyway, Ted Boy Wands go, hey, where are they getting the water free?
I know, exactly. Good point.
Takes a lot of water to smack right enough, you know.
I suppose fracking will work with shite in it, wouldn't the shite in the water? So maybe that's.
Well, you know, I was saying that this morning. You know, they're going to add fracking fluid to the shite that's in the water. Although, of course, as you know, on the other programmes, swear as much. Yeah.
One thing is certain: we cannot, under any circumstances, and I'm talking to every single one of you here and the general population, if I can, we cannot allow any form of fracking to take place in Scotland, because in Scotland we've got something that's really important. It's our water. And you start fracking in Scotland, and that destroys the purity that is sold abroad for producing whiskey and all the rest of it, right? Because stories will get out about the water being affected. It doesn't matter if it's coming from aquifers or anything like that at all. People will just get that message that Scottish water is now less than it used to be.
Well, as I say, it can't be allowed to happen here. It really can't.
No.
But, if they want to frack down that road, then they're after chump. It'll take at least 10 years to make any impact, and it's not going to improve energy security down that road. With Scottish independence just around the corner, energy security is going to be a big problem for them down that road. Because they're getting a lot of their energy from Scotland, Holland, and France.
Yeah.
I mean, the French National Electricity Company is the major provider for the southeastern London. You know, EDF. So we are paying foreign companies to generate the electricity here, and they're using it to subsidise electricity prices where they are. Same thing with the trains. We spoke about this.
Yeah.
On fracking, apparently Moggy said there's no evidence of any risk, but surely there is evidence of risk. We had to stop it in Lancashire.
Can I not just say these words? Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? You know.
Mental. So they are going to frack down that road for no good reason, because it's not going to help with energy security. Maybe once we have left right enough, they might be desperate enough to do something stupid like that.
See, when you add it up, all the mess with the water companies, the fact that they're doing the majority of their power generation from gas or from oil, right? You know, and now they're looking to frack the Midlands, right? They're shitting on their own nest, big style.
Yes, I mean, Miliband made that point in the Commons. He was pointing out it's 8 times cheaper to generate renewable energy than what it is to buy gas at this point in time. So, and he was saying there's no point in fracking. Let's supercharge the renewables industry, and of course, but deaf ears. Come on.
If they wanted, as a government, if they wanted to, a whole range of things that they could fix, right? But certainly with the renewables, all they're going to do is take their foot off the bloody brake. Their own people would soon get blooming wind turbines up, wind turbines all around the blooming coast, solar, you name it, and it would go in. It's the mere fact that they've put their foot in the brake regarding renewable energy, and they've got their heads stuck in. Let's build loads of nuclear power station. A nuclear power station, the average round the world for building a nuclear power station is 7 years. Right?
It's only a 30-year lifespan.
Yes, that's right. And the actual land that it occupies, we're talking about 300 years before it can be demarked as a brownfield site.
Aye.
You know, so
last brief for Westminster is suicidal. Aye, but it's by design. The question is why.
We honestly believe that there has been a plan that's been followed, and it effectively is to destroy England. You know, England is now a basket case. When you just look at what's going on economically in England, we're still tied to England. So we're getting dragged down as the blooming boat sinks. So that's the reason why we need independence as quickly as we can do it. And it might not be a case of saying, oh, we'll have it such and such time next year, because we know that it's October next year that it's been flown as. In actual fact, we might not have a choice. It might all suddenly start to go very, very quickly. Yeah. So therefore, we may have to do something. And I know for a fact, you all know that I like Nicola Sturgeon and all the rest of it. I like what she does, and I like the plan, and I believe she's got a good, solid plan behind her. And I believe that she's watching this very, very carefully.
I definitely be watching what's going on. A couple of comments there. Now, Elizabeth says she saw a post saying they're going to allow building on Greenbelt. Of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course they are. They'll have friends that own land in Greenbelt that will want to put in sites and things like that. Of course they will. Yeah. And Jen is telling us that that's why our word whiskey comes from the Gaelic due to quality of the water that makes it, and it's water of life.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Tories are not planning staying there. They have EU passports all sorted. Well, in actual fact, it's not just EU. It's like we're talking like all points of the compass that they've got sorted. You know, Rishi Sunak that used to be in the cabinet. You know, he's got a green card for America, and his wife. And you know, we were arguing about the what was it that they were talking about back at the time of the thing where his wife wasn't paying the tax and all the rest of it, right? Saying that she was part of her dad's company and all the rest of it, right? They don't even have a house in India. They've got 3 houses, one in the UK, one in California. I don't know where the other one is, but one in California most notably, right? Because they both have US green cards.
I can't surprise this. I don't expect Sunak to start at the next election, but we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, Stephen Kenny said thoughts on blackballing every current journalist and newsreader, reporter in Indy, Scotland. I don't think there's any newsreaders or reporters. Well, there's definitely no any journalists in Scotland at this point in time.
Stephen, is that the same Stephen? It could be a different Stephen, but is that the same Stephen Kenny that I remember back at the run up to the 2014? You had a brilliant video, and it was a question and answer session somewhere in Glasgow. So let me know, Stevie, if it's the same person, because I'd like to touch base with you. You were a good guy at the time.
Right, David, we're coming up on the hour mark. My much screaming to get out.
Yeah.
And I start working on it. So it's time to start rounding this one up. We hope you enjoyed the show, folks.
Yeah.
I hope you found the topics interesting. The comments have been fantastic. Really enjoyed today's show. But as I say, the dog's whinging in the corner. He's one out. I start working exactly 1 hour and 3 minutes. So we've run early 45.
One wee thing just before we go, right? You know, the ND2 Cafe are doing this thing at the weekend, right? And it's like, I'm really looking forward to it. They've got loads. They were actually talking this morning. They've got enough prizes practically. Give everybody a blooming prize if they do the do the wee lottery they've got going, you know. And it's going to be a great night. And this guy here is going to do a rant for us, right?
I got an idea for it last night. But I'm not going to get into it. I want to keep it a surprise for people. The top winners are still tickets. Yes. You can contact us.
Yeah.
You can buy your tickets. Let me get this one done, will you? acare53@gmail.com. It's a PayPal account. You can buy your tickets there. Or you can go to the ND2 Cafe, a Facebook page, and make an inquiry there. So, if you're interested,
they are allowing people to get their tickets on the door, but at the same time, it's like they do still need to know about numbers, because you obviously get the point where the place is too many people, and the fire brigade will come in and shut it down. Right.
Anyway, Stevie Kenny says no, it wasn't him that did the video.
Ah, right. Sorry, Stevie. I did wonder if it was the same person, but
Right. I've
thank
been
you.
rounding this one up for 3 minutes now, so there's only one thing left to say, David.
Bye bye, Davey.
Bye, David. Bye, folks. Smash the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification button. If you're on and if you like what we do, please share it widely. Okay, and the same goes for